and thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us for our special topic webinar, Self-Care for Caregivers. My name is Carla. I am the Director of Education and Partnerships at NeedyMeds, and before we get started, I just want to go over a few points. You can feel free at any time to type any questions you may have into the questions section of your GoToWebinar control panel. Just know that we will reserve answering all questions until the end. When I introduce our guest panelist, you'll hear me mention that she is a pharmacist, so I want to state this disclaimer that she is not able to answer any pharmacy or drug-related questions. Anyway, if you do have a question that we don't get the time to answer, please know we will follow up with you personally via email after the webinar by tomorrow. Also, this webinar is being recorded and will be available for viewing on the NeedyMeds YouTube page, and we try and do that as quickly as possible. Also, in the handout section of your GoToWebinar control panel, you will find a copy of my PowerPoint presentation. So with that, let's get started. For those of you that are not familiar with NeedyMeds, what you're looking at is our mission statement that was updated a couple of years ago. NeedyMeds is a national nonprofit that connects people to programs free and anonymously through our website and helpline that will help them afford their healthcare expenses. And as you can see, a big part of our mission is education. And we define education really in two ways. One, by letting people know about NeedyMeds and the resources we have to offer, but also by educating people about other ways to stay healthy. And before I get into our intro for today's special topic webinar, I want to just put up on the screen a quick snapshot of the Needymeds homepage and point out in the top left-hand side under that patient savings tab is where you'll find all of our healthcare cost savings programs. And in the top right, you'll see a bunch of icons. The third one from the left is where you can click so that you will be linked to the NeedyMeds YouTube channel where this video will be uploaded, and others previously recorded special topic webinars can also be found there. I wanted to point that out because it's a really great resource. So with that, let's talk about today's presentation, which is focused on caregivers. Our webinar is going to be led by Zaina London, our colleague, pharmacist, and Director of Patient Experiences from HealthStorylines. So first, let me tell you a bit about HealthStorylines. Very simply, HealthStorylines is a self-care app that helps you take control of your health. Storylines can act as a medication reminder, symptoms and vital tracker, or pain rating scale, and so much more. But today, you are going to specifically learn self-care by being able to track your own health and managing your stress using this tool. But also, you'll learn how you can use this tool to manage the health of your loved ones, your patients, or your clients, including their medications, symptoms, and health vitals. So I told you a little bit about HealthStorylines in today's presentation, and let me tell you now a little bit about our guest, Zaina. And you'll see her title and her picture right up on your screen now. Zaina is the Director of Patient Experience at Self-Care Catalyst, where she manages digital health tools that empower people to become more active participants in their own care. She has also developed and deployed innovative health and wellness solutions for thousands of Canadians, resulting in improved health outcomes across over 2,000 locations while working for Canada's largest pharmacy retailer. By background, Zaina is a registered pharmacist and has helped thousands of people achieve healthier and happier lives. She earned her bachelor's degree in pharmacy and cognitive psychology at Dalhousie University in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So before I hand this mic and screen over to Zaina, bear with me while I put up a quick poll. And if you wouldn't mind participating in this poll right away, that will help Zaina narrow in on what she's going to cover during today's presentation. So right now that poll is up on your screen. go ahead and select one of those that may apply to you. And while we're waiting for you to do that, I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Zaina. Thanks so much.
Great. Thank you for the warm welcome, Carla. Everyone, I'm very excited to be here today to discuss caring for caregivers, an important topic that is often, unfortunately, neglected. So a caregiver is defined as anyone who provides help to another person in need, such as an ill spouse or partner, a disabled child, an aging relative, or perhaps even your patients. However, many people don't actually self-identify as a caregiver, and recognizing this role is really the first step in helping caregivers receive the support that they truly need. So I know that many people across the US from various hospitals and clinics are listening in right now, and I'm so glad that you are. Now, perhaps you're a nurse or a social worker or therapist, or perhaps you're a mother of 3 and you're also taking care of your father-in-law with Alzheimer's. Regardless of what type of caregiver you are, you may be finding it difficult to find the time to take care of yourself. You may be feeling stressed, tired, perhaps you're struggling to get everything done on your to-do list. And this is why practicing self-care is especially important for caregivers. And so today, I'm going to be focusing on self-care. Now, Carla, can you please flash up the responses to that first poll question, please? Okay, this is really interesting. And so thank you, Carla, for showing that on the screen. So what this is telling us is that most of you are caregivers, and sometimes you find it easy and sometimes it's difficult and stressful. So about 70% of you said that, and 40% of you said, I'm a caregiver and I find it stressful and I could use help. So I am here to help, and it's going to be a very short and easy to follow session. Thank you for participating. I have one more question that I'm going to ask for Carla to flash up on the screen. This will help guide the discussion so that I can focus on what you'd actually like to learn about. So if you can go ahead and answer that, I'm going to continue with the presentation. And so the emotional and physical demands involved with caregiving can strain even the most resilient person, which is why it's so important to take advantage of the many resources and tools available to help provide care to yourself, your loved ones, and or your patients or your clients. So remember, if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of anyone else. And I know that firsthand as a pharmacist. It's very important to take care of myself so that I can help my own patients and my family as well. And so today, in about 20 minutes, I'm going to teach you 6 really easy ways to practice self-care, whether it's for yourself or if it's for one of your family members or your clients. It doesn't matter. You can do all of them at once as well. There will also be a recording of this webinar, which will be available within a few days, thanks to Carla and the Needymeds team. And so the self-care tool that I'll be showing you is called Needymeds HealthStorylines. It's an app, but it's also available in a website version, and it's free. And it allows you to track a lot of areas of your health, but most importantly, it'll allow you to practice self-care. And so all you need to do is go to the app or Google Play Store and just look up Needymeds HealthStorylines, or you can just use the online version and go to needymeds.healthstorylines.com. I mean, I would recommend registering now if you want to follow along. It might be a little bit easier. Alternatively, you can do it after the webinar so that you can focus on the content. Now, before I begin with the tips, let's look at the results of the second poll question. Carla, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, and so I asked what would be most helpful to learn more about today, and the results were divided, and so symptoms and journal were tied at 38%. I'm going to touch on each of them briefly, but this gives me an idea of where you'd actually like to focus your attention. So I'll spend more time on journal and symptoms. Thank you, Carla. So I'm going to grab the screen from you, Carla, so I can share mine. Okay. Thank you. And so everyone should be able to see my screen right now. It says Needymeds. And what I'm going to show you is how to use the website version. So again, this is NeedyMeds.HealthStorylines.com. It's really easy to create a free account. You just go to the bottom and click create a free account, enter in a couple of details, and when you click sign up, this is what appears on your screen. I'll give you a quick overview and then I'll dive into the self-care tips. So on the left-hand side, you can see a menu here. So my name, as well as some of the menu features along the side. In the center of the screen, you'll see a bunch of colored boxes. Each of these colored boxes is a different self-care tool that you can use to help manage your health. Now, there are hundreds of different tools that you can access in the app. It just depends on what is the most important for you and what matters the most to you and your self-care. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive right in with the journal tool specifically, because that's what everyone wants to hear about according to the poll. And I'll also talk about the mood tool a little bit. So almost 66 million Americans are providing care to those who are ill, aged, or disabled for an average of 40 hours a week. 40 hours a week is a full-time job and then some. There are currently 13 million caregivers in America that provide care for their own children as well. So it's not just that you're caring for people perhaps at your job, in the clinic or the hospital, or perhaps it's not just your father-in-law or mother-in-law with dementia. You're also taking care of your kids. But what about yourself? It's very important for caregivers to take care of their own health and to make time for yourself. If you don't, you may end up with something called Caregiver Syndrome or caregiver stress. You may have heard this term before, and this can happen when caring for someone. There are a few common signs and symptoms. I'm sure many of you can relate to some of these. They include anxiety, depression, irritability. You might be feeling tired and just exhausted and run down. You might have difficulty sleeping. Perhaps you overreact to very minor nuances that you know aren't really a big deal. Or maybe, perhaps even more seriously, you have new or worsening health problems. And so it's important to know that it's not selfish to focus on yourself. You need to focus on your own needs and desires when you're a caregiver, because you can't take care of anyone else if you're not taking care of yourself. And so let me show you how to use, first of all, the journal tracker. A lot of people tell me that this is like writing therapy. So it's almost like therapy to them. And you can do it anywhere if you have the app version on your phone, which is free. So I'm going to hover my mouse over here on the My Journal box. It's the yellow box on the bottom right-hand corner of my screen here. I'm going to click it. And then immediately the My Journal section opens. And it starts off with saying, document your thoughts around your health and daily living. And so everybody is different and everyone will want to document different things about their health. Perhaps you want to reflect on your condition. Maybe you have anxiety or high blood pressure, or maybe you want to use this as your gratitude journal and you've been meaning to keep one, but it's so hard to carry one around with you all of the time. Maybe you just want to write whatever you want. So that's what I'm going to click. I am very happy to be here today. Is what I'm writing on the screen. And then I'm going to click Add to Journal. And then my responses are actually saved over time for me. And I'm the only one that can see this. So I can write whatever I want, whenever I want. I can type in 20 entries a day if I want. So it's very simple. That's how to use the My Journal tool. And then another one that people really enjoy using because it's a bit more fun and it's quick to use is the Daily Moods tool. So this is the top in the middle. I'm hovering my mouse around it. I'm going to click this box and immediately you'll see on the screen a bunch of different emoticons, a bunch of different faces that describe different emotions. And this tool is asking, how am I feeling? I'm going to take a second to actually really think about how am I feeling right now while giving this webinar. And I encourage all of you to think right now as well. I mean, perhaps you're in the middle of your day, perhaps you just did an overnight shift and you're continuing onwards through the lunch hour. Perhaps you're at home right now alone taking care of your grandmother or your mother, I mean. So I'm going to scroll down here, and I feel really happy. I'm really happy that I get to be here and share this resource with you. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click happy, scroll down and click done. And then immediately you can see my moods over the past week, which I personally find very interesting, because sometimes I realize that I feel a little bit more perhaps frustrated or sad than usual, or perhaps it's the opposite. And so it really just helps put things into perspective. And so I really enjoy using that. I'm going to quickly cover as well the medication tracker tool, but I won't spend too long on it. So if I go back to the main screen, there's a box in the top left called medication tracker. So I'll click into that. I've already added one of the medications here, atorvastatin for my cholesterol. I'm going to add a new medication simply by clicking add medication. I'm going to write in metformin, perhaps for my diabetes. And then I'm going to indicate that I take this 2 times a day, one at 9 a.m. and let's say here one at 5 p.m. This automatically sets reminders for myself, which I find helpful. So I'm not going to turn them off, which would be by clicking this no reminders button. I'll click next and finish. And there we go. There's metformin on my screen. So I'm going to click take for these medications, click done. And then you can see a summary of the medications that I have taken over time. Now, moving on to a really innovative feature that we just launched. It's called My Storylines on the left-hand side. So if I click that, My Storylines is essentially your health story, or any of the patients that you've been monitoring using this tool, their health story over time. So it's a summary of everything they've input. And so I can see here the medication tracker on the left, my daily moods tracker on the right, and I can see that on Monday, I forgot to take my atorvastatin, which was very interesting because on Monday, September 24th, my mood was very frustrated and angry. I have a red emoticon here. And so perhaps I wonder if I skipped it because I was just feeling frustrated that day. So you can start to make connections about your own health and start to understand yourself a little bit better. I'm going to go back to the main screen here by clicking My Health Tools. Now, next I want to talk a little bit more about stress and exercise. And so if you're constantly under stress for any reason, your body can be exposed to higher than normal levels of different kinds of hormones, such as cortisol, which can over time contribute to depression. Now, this astounded me, but I learned that 70% of caregivers suffer from depression, which is a very high statistic, which is why I'm so glad that we're giving this webinar. And there's evidence that there's evidence that shows that exercises like jogging, swimming, gardening, and dancing have all been shown to reduce anxiety and reduce depression and can help to lower your cortisol level. So when you exercise, your body is pumping blood around your body, and that blood will circulate as well to your brain. And then you start to release natural feel-good chemicals like dopamine while you're working out and serotonin after you work out. And so regular exercise helps you feel happier over the long term because the amount of these feel-good hormones released in your brain actually increases in concentration. There's even evidence that certain areas of your brain responsible for mood can actually grow if you exercise. So I'm going to quickly show you here how to use the exercise diary. For those of you that are following along, you may notice that the exercise diary isn't appearing on your screen right away. So if I go to the left-hand side of my toolbar and I click Tool Library, there's a search bar at the top. So I'll type in exercise. And then the first result that came up is the exercise diary. So I'll click on that. And usually this says add. On the bottom right-hand corner, there's a button. Mine is already there, and so that's why it says remove. So you just click add. And then if you go back to your health tools on the main page, you should see the exercise diary tool appear now on your home page. So I'm going to go ahead and click into this exercise diary, and I'm going to tell the app what exercise that I performed. So today is Tuesday, the 25th. I don't know how, it's already the 25th, but it is. And this morning I went biking, so I'm going to click biking, and I biked for 20 minutes, not a long time, but every bit counts. So I'm going to click done here. And then immediately you can see the summary of my exercises over time. And so when you start to track this, you can actually see, oh, I am actually doing a good job trying to fit exercise in, or perhaps I can do a better job than I've been doing. But it's really helpful just to kind of paint a picture of your health over time. Okay, another really common another common tool that a lot of people like to use, and also that the audience told me they want to learn more about through the poll, is the Symptom Tracker. So the Symptom Tracker is right here towards the middle left part of your screen in blue. I'm going to click on this box. This tool is very easy to use. It's very quick. I can enter in a response in about 5 seconds. So you can see on my screen, it says at the top, track your symptoms to monitor how you're doing over time. And so the date and time of my response is always preset for the time and date in the present moment, so I'm not going to even bother changing that. I've listed pain or discomfort previously, so that's why it appeared on my screen. And then it also shows at the bottom, what was the impact of those symptoms on my day? And they're sliding scales, so you can move them along to indicate how bad your pain was or your symptom was from a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being no symptom and 10 being the most severe. So I'm going to show you how to add a symptom. It's very easy. I can go to this button here called Add Symptom and click it. I'm going to write down that I am feeling tired today. And you could even write in notes. I felt tired after my workout, but then the workout provided me with more energy. And then I'm going to click Finish. And then you can see my notes there. So I'm going to go ahead and say that my tiredness was maybe a 3 today. My pain was quite high, so I'm going to say it was a 6. And the impact of these symptoms on my day, I'd say, is pretty high because my knees were hurting and I had to run to a meeting. And so I'm going to say it's about a 7 here in terms of how much it impacted my day. So when I click Done, it actually automatically creates a graph for you over time, and it gives you the legend here on the bottom. So pain or discomfort is in blue, so you can see my pain has actually increased a little bit and now it's leveling off. The impact of my symptoms on my day has also increased, but now it's going down. And I haven't seen too many points here of my tiredness because I haven't entered in that very much yet. But over time, you'll be able to see trending on your symptoms. There's one more tool that I want to show you. It's also an easy to use tool. If you go to the left-hand side of your screen on the toolbar, it's something called the circle of support. So if I click that, you can see on my screen a few names and at the top, circle of support. Now, this feature allows you to give a family member or a friend or your doctor the opportunity to view your day-to-day health information. Alternatively, you can use the feature with your own patients or clients so that you can see their progress and their own health information. So it's very easy to use. All you have to do is click Add a New Member on the top right-hand side. So if I click that, and then you just enter in their email address. So perhaps I'm going to enter in my colleague here, and I'm going to click Submit. So he's going to receive an invitational email to sign up for Health Storylines, and then I'm going to be able to message him. I'm going to be able to see certain parts of his Health Storylines only if he chooses to let me see it. So that's also a really important feature because you have the ability to connect with others or monitor your patients or clients. And if anyone is interested in using that tool or learning more about it, I'd be happy to chat with them as well offline. My contact information can be obtained via Carla, or you can ask it in the questions after the webinar. And so those were the 6 tools that I wanted to show you today to help you learn how to take better care of yourself. Do note there's a lot of different ways that you can do this using the app. It's just a matter of finding which tools are most interesting to you by searching in the tool library. And so you can type in anything you want here. If you have diabetes, you can see a lot of different diabetes tools. And then one last thing I'll show you is that there's a button here in the menu called My Profile. If you click on My Profile, this is the screen that appears. The most important section here is the condition section. Because if I type in that I have diabetes type 1, and I was diagnosed, let's say, this year, and I click Add, and then I update my profile, then typically what can happen is that you'll have new tools that will appear on your home screen that are specific to your condition. And so that is, those are my self-care tips for today. I hope that you enjoyed the webinar, and I will pass it along to Carla for any questions.
Zaina, thank you so much for that thorough and really simple explanation of how to use Health Storylines. It's really, I can't stress enough to our audience that I do hope that it's something that you take advantage of, not only because it's free and that it is so simple to use, but of course we're here to support you if you have any difficulty. I'm happy to see our audience is asking some questions. And before I pass those along to Zaina, I just want to point out a few other things to our audience. What you're looking at now on your screen is some of the most popular and effective ways to save on your medications or other healthcare needs through Needymeds. I'm not going to take the time to explain what those are or how to find them. I just want to remind you that we are here as another source of support for you. So to learn more about how to find resources on the Needymeds website, or simply to learn about the resources we have, we encourage you to visit our website or join us for an overview webinar. We try to give those once a month, and you can sign up for future webinars on the bottom right hand of our homepage under the calendar of events. Since I have your attention, I'll also share with you our upcoming webinars through next month. So please do see if there's anything that piques your interest. And again, you can find all of those registration links under the calendar of events on the bottom right-hand side. As I pass questions along to Zaina, I'm going to keep up the contact information if you have any questions about Health Storylines. And at the bottom of that screen, of course, you'll find the website and toll-free helpline to Needymeds as well. So Zaina, some of the questions coming in, and one of the first ones that came in was, we have an audience member whose husband is at home getting dialysis, and she wants to know, is this a good place to track his medications and his symptoms and his moods?
That's a very good question. We have a lot of other users that are in similar situations, and they do use this app or the website version for the exact same reason. It can be hard trying to manage everything and all of his medications and symptoms and different types of vitals on a piece of paper, or if a part of it is at the doctor's office and a part of it is at the pharmacist's office or the dialysis unit. It can get really complicated. And so a lot of people will use this because it's like an all-in-one health diary, and you can use the medication tracker, the vitals tracker, and the journal tool, and even the appointment calendar tools to help keep track of his health. So the answer is definitely. I definitely encourage it.
Fantastic. And thanks to our audience member for asking that question, because we got a lot of similar questions and about that. And yes, this app can be used to both track your own life, really, and also to track what you need to for somebody you're taking care of. Because the other question that came in along with that one was, can I use this app for myself or only people that I'm taking care of? So I think that answered it.
Yeah, and I'll just provide a little bit more information. You can either make an email address for them, depending on their level of ability, depending on who you're helping or caregiving for, or you can just send them an invite using the Circle of Support feature. You just need to know their email, and then they'll receive the invitation, and they'll make their own account, and they can give you the ability to see certain portions of their health storylines or everything, depending on what they're comfortable with.
And I think that's one of the most important things about this Health Storylines app. If any of our audience members are like me, I'm not particularly technologically inclined. So sometimes when I hear the word app, I make the wrong assumption that it'll be too complicated. And I think Health Storylines has gone above and beyond, making this so easy to use for people such as myself that really aren't maybe that tech savvy. So Zaina, another question coming in is, can you show people how to download a health summary report? And if you'd like me to pass the screen back to you to do that, I can.
Yeah, Carla, that would be great if you don't mind passing the screen back to me. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to access. This is a relatively new feature in Health Storylines. A lot of our users were asking for the feature or the ability to download their own personalized health report so that they could have all of their information together for either themselves or all of the patients that they manage. And so if you go to the menu bar on the left-hand side again and click on the second option called My Storylines, you have the ability to download your own My Storylines report. So all you have to do is specify the duration over which you want the report to be generated by clicking on one of the buttons. So you click either 1 month of information, 3 months, 6 months, all time, or you can even customize the dates that you want to look at. You just have to make sure that your email is verified, so just make sure you use the right email. And then when you do that, you will actually get a personalized PDF document that looks like this. There we go. So it's your My Storylines report, and it'll document everything for you line by line on what the different tools were that you used and what you documented. So a lot of people find this quite helpful.
Thank you again, Zaina. And when we pass this question along to Zaina, you may have noticed she said they just recently added this. And one of the things that I want to say is wonderful about the team that Zaina works with is they're very responsive to how users are responding to this app, which is why her title is the Director of Patient Experiences. That team takes it very seriously, how people are interacting with this tool. So we certainly encourage you not only to use it, but absolutely be vocal about your experience when you are using it, because that helps them to improve the tool, make it easier for you, and also lets them know just in general how people are receiving this. Another question coming in is, Zaina, you showed a lot of different tools within this app. What would you recommend starting with if you're new to using it?
Oh, definitely the mood tracker. I find that a lot of people don't realize how much of an influence people's moods have on everything, on their ability to take care of other people, on their day-to-day tasks, on their outlook on life. A lot of people just don't make time for themselves, and they don't make time to sit down and just pause for maybe even just 5 seconds and just think, okay, Zaina, how am I feeling in my head today? It's important to do that. And if you do that over time and you track your mood, even just once a day, every day for a week, and just seeing if you notice a difference in how you're feeling, I think that you'll be surprised. I also just quickly want to mention, Carla, to those that are listening, if you work at any clinics or healthcare organizations, we're always happy to do free presentations on self-care and educating people on how to use the tool and how it can help them. And so if you're interested, please do reach out to Carla, as we're happy to help people.
Fantastic, and I'm glad you mentioned that. And you can do that by sending me a message in the questions section. We already see a bunch of people writing in. So we do that by, and I'm not surprised, but pleased to see it. You can send me again a message in that GoToWebinar control panel. You can shoot an email to that email on your screen, or you can drop me an email, which is carla@needymeds.org, and my name is spelled with a C. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's presentation. Just a reminder, if we didn't get the chance to answer your specific question, we'll follow up with you via email by tomorrow. And another reminder that this webinar is being recorded, and we'll do our best to convert it very quickly into a video to be posted on the NeedyMeds YouTube channel. And again, you can find a link to that YouTube channel on the top right of the Needymeds homepage. You'll see a bunch of social media icons, and the YouTube icon is the third one from the left. With that, thanks so much, everybody, for taking time out of your day to join us. And we do hope to see your names pop up for future webinars. And thanks, Zaina, for sharing your expertise. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.